好，各位大家好。接下来呢，我们今天上午在第一 capacities 方面呢，已经从上午的一个整个计划的介绍哈 ，Anne 有介绍给大家。然后刚才呢，我们谈的是个 leadership， 一个领导统御啊，还有就是怎么样做保育和行为改变。接下来呢，我们是要讲伙伴关系 partnership。然后呢，我们的讲者是由这个 Anne 和这个Judy 和 Anne， 那大家可以看一看这 Judy Frost 她的简介。我想今天因为有些同伴下午才进来，请大家看一下第20页。我们可以知道，刚才我们从前一场呢，这个Judy Frost， 我们可以知道说她参与过很多的计划啊，从这个不管是在 World WWF 或者是 National Audubon Society， 还有他们做了很多像 Together the Green 啊。还有很多的这个，所以他们伙伴关系做的非常多。他也说他在这个领域也有20-30年的时间，所以我们可以请他来跟我们介绍一下在这个 capacity building 上面的 partnership。那另外呢，我们再看这个在第23页啊，Annie 她是在这个 capacity 的 manager， 然后呢，她本身也是呢从她的经历非常丰富。担任了很多相关的这个伙伴关系。我想今天我们大家在此呢，来自于不管是我们的这个新的这个区域中心北东南中，还有所有的伙伴关系，包括我们的这个 NGO 啊，还有很多的这个我们在座，大家都有很多我们自己原有的经验。那我们接下来我们的热烈掌声来欢迎呢我们2位跟我们分享在美国他们怎么样来促进一个这样伙伴关系的增进。Let's welcome for the partnership. Thank you.
Okay, how are you doing? I know this is the hard part in the afternoon after lunch, right? And guess what? We have another PowerPoint. Aren't you excited? Yay! Okay, we are going to be talking about partnerships. Okay, how many of you are involved in a partnership right now? Any kind of partnership? And if every hand doesn't go up, I know you are asleep. Okay. Right? Okay. So what we're going to do is quick introduction, then we're going to get into small groups, then we're going to talk about what makes a great partnership. We can't do this work without partnerships. We can't do conservation, environmental work, environmental education without partnerships. And then we're going to have you dig into a few dilemmas, okay? And we're going to make you move. I know you're settled into your seat, but we're going to make you move. I see some panicked looks. It won't be painful. Okay, so when we talk tomorrow in the workshop about setting up regional centers and the centers that we have, cannot do those without partnerships. And so we've all been involved in partnerships, and when we think about partnerships, different things come to mind. We're going to spend a little time talking about what a partnership is. And we know that partnerships are not easy. We can just always say partnerships are really good, we get to really good places, but they're not easy sometimes. If you've ever worked with partners that don't actually do what they said they were going to do, and there are all kinds of issues, but we cannot get to our goals without partners. And good stuff usually happens with partners if we learn how to work together. Okay? So, what makes a good partnership? Whoops. Okay, so first I want you to find a new partner. Okay? I know you have to move for this. You might have to turn around and find a different partner. Okay? Can everybody find someone they haven't worked with yet? You can stand up and find somebody else and move. Okay? I know it takes a lot of energy. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to give you a problem to solve, and I want you to raise your hand. Now listen to me. I want you to raise your hand when both you and your partner understand how to solve the problem. Okay? Everybody got that? You and your partner need to be able to explain how to solve the problem. Okay? So I'm going to turn this over, and the problem is, I want you to tell me how many squares are on that page. Okay? How many squares? When you have the answer, raise your hand. Both your partners have to. We have had answers of 16 and 24. Raise your hand when you think you have the answer. 24? Okay.
Back in the back.
32? 30? Okay, everyone, I think we have a winner. Right over here. The three of you?
We got 46.
Okay. Okay, I want to ask this team right here. 30. Okay, can somebody go up and show us? Can somebody show us? If everybody will listen for a minute. So we had everything from 16 to 42. Okay, what? Everybody see them? Very good. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. Okay, so if you didn't see that,
The answer was 30.
okay, so anyway, there were other slides up there. I don't know what happened to them, but basically there are 30 of these. I don't know why you have 32, but let me just say, wait. I think I'm losing control. Okay. But the thing about this is, I would have taken 31 because there are 30 and we can go after that later. But the word square up there in one group, somebody said, here's a square, that's another 131. But anyway, congratulations. Now, let me just say that the point of this is that none of us is as smart as all of us. So by working together, we often bring different things to the table, and thinking about that in terms of partnerships. We really can't solve our problems without working together, and learning to work in teams and build partnerships is a really important skill for the 21st century. And where do you learn that? So we've got to be able to teach these skills of how to work together in a team and how to form good partnerships. So we already asked you about partnerships. And we want you to think about when I say the word partnership, what you're thinking about. So now I want you in those same groups to discuss what makes a partnership work. So just take a few minutes and talk about, in your experience, what is it that makes a partnership successful? And just come up with some ideas. We're not going to spend a lot of time. And if you can just come up with some ideas about what makes a partnership work, okay? So talk. Okay, everyone, I'm going to come back here and see what we heard from this group. Okay, so if everybody will listen, we're going to make it around. Just say a few things.
我们这一组呢讨论出来可以有到4项的那个项目。第一个是有共同的目标，然后呢能够彼此沟通，然后彼此能够分工，而且呢还可以从里面有所收获。比如说是社会形象的建立，或者是他的就是学员的成长这样子的所的4项。我们讲了4项。
Okay, anybody here have, what are 2 of your?
Yeah, we think the most important thing is we have to play together.
Okay, things we think is important is trust, and we need a contract. Oh, trust and a contract. Listen with conviction. Okay, we're going to go around to the other side. Is anybody here? Nope. Okay. Behind the screen. How about over here? The group that had 32. And there are all kinds of partnerships. Okay, committing resources, successful partnerships need resources, money. What else? Anything else over here? Caring?
Breaking things with each other, being honest. The opposite of break, respect, sharing. Yeah.
Okay, so Ann, they got everything.
We can go home.
We can go home. Okay, so one of the things is that we know a lot about what makes successful partnerships, but sometimes we end up in partnerships that are not so great, okay? So it's really thinking about our partnerships in really deliberate ways, really important. And so if we collectively, all of us, have been in a lot of partnerships, and the reason this is important is we talk tomorrow, you are actually setting up centers that are all about partnerships. We are partnering, and thinking about that partnership is really important to always think about how to strengthen it and how can we do more together. So we're going to go through very quickly some lessons we've learned, and then we're going to end with some dilemmas of partnerships that actually have happened and want to know how you would deal with them, okay? Because sometimes partnerships run into problems. Okay, so the first one. Basically, there are always new opportunities for partnerships, but we like to say work with the smartest and most creative people that you can find. Sometimes you might not want to partner with someone that you think knows more than you, or an organization that you think might have new and creative ideas. Partner with them. You're going to learn a lot. It's like if you want to play tennis or racquetball with somebody, you always want to play with someone better, because you're going to get better. Okay, so don't be afraid of working with really amazing people. Second tip, diversity of partnerships. Who has what you don't? Who can bring strengths to the table that you don't have? And thinking outside the box. So, think about your partnerships. We often partner with the people we always partner with. We like them, we know them, we share values. But what about the people that we haven't partnered with? Whether it's agencies or businesses or religious groups or just groups that you really don't even know what they do, but you think they might have something. It's worth thinking about other kinds of partnerships, especially if they have networks that you don't have or other strengths. Okay? Let me give you an example. When I worked at World Wildlife Fund, WWF was the biodiversity group. They partnered with CARE because they were working on the link between biodiversity and health and poverty. WWF did not become CARE. They worked together because CARE had its own strengths, WWF had its strengths. Yes, it was a big partnership, but it really helped tackle the issue of showing the relevance between protecting biodiversity and protecting health and human welfare. And so, how many of you partner with corporations? Many of you have corporate partners? We really need to think about working more with business and working systemically with business to not only change practice, but also to, and we'll talk about a few of those, just an example of working with partners that might be a little bit outside the box.
So the third tip is take a risk. When building partnerships, how many of you guys are partnering with the same institutions year after year, who think exactly like you do, who have similar values as you? You know, in some cases there's value in that, but also you need to take a risk in partnering with an organization that you've never partnered with before. Some organization that thinks differently from you, that has different values than you, that can challenge the assumptions that you have, that can challenge the way that you're thinking, and that can bring fresh ideas and a fresh perspective. So take a risk in the types of partnerships that you're thinking about. The next one, be strategic about which partnerships you choose. Judy talked a little bit about that. Are you selecting the brightest and the smartest? Are you selecting the best organizations that represent assets and strengths and qualities that you lack in your own organizations? So part of that is thinking about what areas might you be weak in, or what areas do you need help with, and what organizations can bring those strengths to this partnership.
And just one other thing I'll say on that too. When we say be strategic about partnerships, it's sometimes really hard for people in this field who want to save the world to say no. Okay, so people come and ask us to partner all the time. And if I said yes to everyone, although I think my staff thinks I say yes to everyone. No.
She does.
We have to really think about who we're partnering with and what we can handle, what the capacity is to actually devote the time and resources to a partnership. Because sometimes, even though it sounds good, it might not be the best thing for you and your organization at the time, and thinking that through. When I was at World Wildlife Fund, we had a list of, before we took on a partnership, a list of criteria. Does it meet this criteria, this criteria? Does it fit with our strategic goals? Is there a champion on our staff that can handle it? Is there? And you could develop that for your centers. What will make you work with somebody or not work with somebody before you do it? Okay, shared purpose, vision, values, and several of you mentioned that you have a shared understanding, you share some values, or enough to be able to work together and be able to accomplish what you're trying to do. Also, mutual respect. Plain, is that yours?
Oh no, I just want to say someone mentioned love.
Oh,
is this
yeah.
related to that?
Yeah. So playing to each other's strengths, and I just wanted to give an example. Ann and I worked on a project, and Pepe and others, called Together Green, which was a partnership between the National Audubon Society, a conservation group, and Toyota. So a lot of people thought that, why would a car company and a conservation group work together? And we realized when we sat down that we had many mutual interests. We cared about diversity and inclusion, we cared about innovation, we cared about leadership, and we cared about conservation. So we were able to work out a partnership, and we agreed to disagree on issues, because you're not going to agree with everyone in every organization. So when we started partnering, there was an issue that came out about gas mileage standards. And we disagreed. And we had an agreement that allowed us to say, okay, we agree on all these things, but we're not going to be able to agree on certain things, but the partnership can still go on, because it was an educational partnership, and it worked really well. Anything else you want to add? The other thing, as you're getting into a partnership, know its strengths. What is your niche? What are you bringing to the table?
The second tip is identifying roles and responsibilities. So as you've identified your niche and your strengths, what pieces of the project will you focus on? What pieces of the project will your partner organizations focus on? So really thinking about what strengths that you bring to the table. And also developing a process for making decisions. Does everybody get a vote in every single decision that you make? Or does your organization have the final say? Or do you decide, is there a democratic process that you want to develop, and how do you come to a decision? And in the next slide, sometimes you have to do just examples of things that you need to clarify in the beginning. I'm sorry, go back up. For example, if you're designing a product, who has editorial control? Who has the final say on what's going to go out there? If you're producing a toolkit, for example, who owns the content? Who owns the final product? Is there an equal partnership among all partners? And also, somebody here mentioned resources. That's another thing that you need to decide on early on. Who pays for what? Do you count in-kind contributions? Who pays for what specific pieces of your project? So all of those decisions need to be made at the very beginning of your partnership.
And one of the things to think about, and I don't know how many of you have done this before you get into a partnership, is when Ann was saying to think about how to make decisions. You can decide that you're going to have everything work according to consensus, that everyone agrees to move forward. You might not always agree 100%, but you agree with the decision made by the group. But you might decide you can't do that. So you could have consensus, and then if consensus doesn't work, you say we're going to vote. Or you could have consensus -1. Some groups, you know, you just don't have to have 100% majority, but you just have to figure it out before you get into any kind of difficult discussions.
And somebody back there, I think, mentioned get a contract. Yes, trust is really important, but also got to get it in writing. So very important in the very, very beginning, get all of the roles and responsibilities and expectations in writing, in a formal agreement if possible. It's better to get things worked out in the beginning rather than wait until you hit a problem and then try to figure out how you're going to resolve the problem.
So always making, you know, more jobs for attorneys and lawyers, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, number 9, give credit. Pay attention to power, equity, words. These are really important things in terms of a partnership. We've all been in partnerships where somebody might not have given us the credit we thought we should get. We maybe said the wrong thing in the wrong way. And also thinking about, in the United States, we have a lot of people who buy Christmas trees and they have presents under the Christmas tree. We think about it in the way of everybody should get something out of a partnership. It's got to be a win-win, or why would you all come to the table? And thinking about making sure that it's not just your interest there, it's all your partners. What are they going to get out of it? Really important. And this is probably the most important thing. And this going to behavior change also. You can't thank people enough. You can't thank your partners enough. You can't thank your staff enough. Everyone likes to be thanked and recognized. And people, when they do something good, want to be recognized. Thanking people really matters. So when you think about that in your partnership, remember to thank your partners for the work that they do to get you where you need to go. And then the other, we said that before, that trust matters, right? Do you guys have praying mantises here? These insects? Anyway, they're great in the United States. Actually, the women like this better. Whoops, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. But anyway, it's really important to, once you lose trust, it's very hard to get trust back. And trust is really important in a partnership.
So the next tip is have an exit strategy. Maybe this is a long-term partnership that you want to develop that will evolve and change over time, over many, many years, like our partnership with EPA Taiwan. Or is the partnership forever, or maybe it's for a concise period of time. Maybe you want to collaborate on a very specific outcome, a specific publication, or a year, or whatever, but you have to know in advance how you'll work yourselves out of the partnership, or what you will do to end the partnership, or is it a forever thing?
And Ann, I was just going to give an example. I worked with a group and we developed a joint website, and then I left and they left. And so there's a website out there that no one is taking care of. It's all out of date because there was no agreement. Even though I said, hey, you guys probably need to do something with that website. There was no agreement of like what's going to happen when the partnership ends. And you don't want your logo on things that aren't very good.
And the last tip we have is if you get stuck, you can always hire a really, really smart and objective facilitator that can help work out some of these issues with you. Someone who is not personally invested in the partnership, someone that can bring an outside perspective, that can help you figure out roles and responsibilities and help you work through some difficult situations. So a really good, the right facilitator, a really good facilitator can help you with some of that mediation and conflict resolution that might come up. And maybe you don't wait until you have a problem to bring in a facilitator. Maybe, you know, There's many opportunities through the evolution of your partnership where it's really beneficial to have an outside person help you through these steps. You don't have to wait until you have a problem.
So, a couple of things. Partnerships do take time, right? They take more time. You've got to work with other people, and they're really hard work. But I think partnerships are the only way we're going to accomplish our goals, and we all in this room are working with different partners. And if you are a good partner, and you're really thanking your partner and working together, good stuff really will usually happen with partnerships. So what we'd like to do is give you a couple of what-if scenarios before we end this session and go into the break. What I'd like you to do is work with the people that you don't work with normally again. If you can do that, we want you to actually, why don't you get up? Yes, stand up and find 3 new partners. We're going to give you a minute to go find 3 new partners. Okay, is everybody ready? If you have a partner group, everybody okay? Okay, everyone. Here's your first dilemma. Are you ready? Is everybody ready? Okay. What we want you to do is have a quick 3-minute, 4-minute discussion. We want you to talk about what would you do, what information do you need, what factors would go into your decision, okay? So number 1, pointing in the wrong direction. Here we go. A key partner is being very difficult and is upsetting several members of your team. However, the partnership is critical to your work. How do you handle it? Okay, so you've got a partner who's irritating your staff. What do you do? It's an important partnership. Talk about it. Okay. I'm going to come around and see what would you do in this situation. Okay, over here. We've got everybody will listen for a minute.
Partner is very critical. Means that when you go on other partners, those partners will go and find other partners. These other ideas very good. I think we should go communities about this idea. That he's good on the idea, but not maybe not the
No, that's good. Somebody who has some skills, but not enough.
就如果那个伙伴很重要，但是我们没有办法去配合他，或者是他难搞的话，我们可以先去了解他真正的需求。比如说像翻译人员，他可能会碰到一个问题，就是说他没有在翻译的时间，他也不知道要做什么。可是我们把我们的需求，把我们的条件拆给他，他能帮我们做的部分，他就可以帮我们去完成它，让他没有时间来。没有时间来让他发泄。
And that you might need more information to really understand what's going on here, right? Who else has some ideas?
我的看法是这样：当彼此间没有办法协调的时候，如果我们把大家彼此之间的目标把它放得更远大的话，那么我们彼此间可能可以把这些小小的这一些不同的意见呢，能够去 去把它缓和掉。
Thinking about the long term, okay, we'll come over here for a minute and take a couple of these, and then we'll go on to the next scenario. Who's got something here they want to share? Any ideas?
We might need to find a moderator.
Yeah.
Who can communicate between the two parties.
These are all real scenarios. So this is an example of one that I had to deal with when I was working at World Wildlife Fund, and there was a very difficult partner. We did bring in a moderator, and it really helped. We weren't, it never was 100% between some of these people, but we got our goals accomplished, we continued the partnership, and if we hadn't brought in a moderator, it probably, that's not always the answer, but in that case it was. So that's it. Anybody else? Okay, let's do the next one.
Okay, scenario two. You're involved in a partnership with another university. Not necessarily this one, but you think everything is going great, but you start hearing rumors. You start hearing rumors that what the other university is saying things that are not complementary. You heard this from two different people. What do you do? Do you understand? So take a few minutes to think about what you would do in this situation. You think everything is going well in the relationship, but you're hearing rumors that partner is saying something negative about you. What do you do? Who would like to share what they would do in this scenario? Anyone on this side? No one is looking at me. No one wants to make eye contact.
Somebody like to share what they would do in this scenario? In this group.
老师，等一下我要玩一下，我没电了。
首先呢，主要有2个，第一个呢是抱着善意，然后在私下的时候，然后跟他主动的来谈，来了解到底问题是出在哪里。那不要再透过第三者来传话，这样会比较容易去了解，而且让对方了解我们的善意。
That's good. Sometimes it's not in a public space. You want to confront them, but you're saying that this is an important relationship, so you want to go privately. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. So very good.
Sometimes I would just keep it cool. Yeah, and stay put and see what happens in the next few days. Because rumor sometimes. You know, and if even though I pick up the phone and try to check it out, it can be negative, right? And sometimes a few days later, and things will clarify, and I think then we will see what's next. Don't rush into yeah.
So that's one good strategy, right? You don't necessarily have to react right away. Maybe reacting with anger or frustration, but keep it cool. Maybe things will change in a few days, and maybe you'll gain a new perspective as long as you just wait a little while longer. Was there another comment in the back? Another person doesn't want to make eye contact.
直接当面沟通，看看彼此的需求有没有什么不足的地方。
Very good. Yeah. Maybe one last comment from this side of the room. We heard a lot from this side. Any final comments on what you would do in this scenario from anyone?
Here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Continue to trust. Like I said, I think trust is important. And maybe sometimes we have a chance to talk about the real things to another and keep the real question.
So you're saying that the relationship is too important to just fall victim or to pay any attention to rumors that just might be something. Okay, great. One last comment here, and then we'll move on to the next scenario.
I think this one is quite out of the box. Just there's a saying that keep your friends close, but keep your enemy even closer. So maybe ask for the partnership. So if someone is saying rumors about you, maybe you ask them for the partnership, and they know what they're doing, and you know what are they doing. So maybe the rumor stops.
Thank you. That's one way to take a risk, right? In the partnership. Judy, you want to take us through the next two?
Okay, so good ideas. We have some skilled negotiators here, and I love the idea of maybe not reacting to every rumor that you hear. Sometimes we all get really upset, but also just thinking through how to best manage people. We're not going to have time to do the others. This is another one that often comes up, that you have an organization that keeps wanting to make changes and edit everything that you're working on together, and you haven't worked out the agreement. So how do you figure that one out? And then another one, they keep forgetting to give you credit in press releases and public functions. What do you do? And some of the same answers, you know, speaking directly, understanding what they think, what they feel, and trying to be as honest and trusting as you can to develop good relationships, as well as working with people that you thought were your enemies, but they're actually not, when you feel like you've got things in common. So there are a lot of lessons, and we can add more to this, but we really wanted to think about this as we go into tomorrow because of the importance of partnerships in achieving conservation and environmental goals and the role in environmental education. So you can adapt that list for your centers and your culture and what works, because we're all really different about how we think about working together in partnership. So take a card and write down any thoughts that you want to think about tomorrow as you're talking about the centers related to partnerships. Really good discussion, everyone. Really great. So thank you all so much. Okay, and I think we're going off for a coffee break. Is that right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Anne.
谢谢。那接下来是我们的。Thank you very much. Thank you for this wonderful section as we all stand up and interactive and find our partnership and new partnership among our audience. 非常谢谢啊！那刚才大家也很快乐的互相讨论哈。那刚才我们也有 I just want to remind all the assignment you already get from morning to here. 从今天早上到现在，我们发觉每一个段落结束的时候，我们台上的老师都说大家记下问题有没有？你会发觉我们问题已经越记越多，然后明天要讨论。好，所以呢，请大家再注意一下我们这个，比方说刚才的问题，就是说，那么你在你的区域中心，你要如何去找你的伙伴关系，建立伙伴关系啊？因为我们每一个中心其实不管在地理的区位啊，还有我们可以合作的伙伴，还有呢，我们的区域里面有非常好的这个各式各样的资源，这个都适合当我们的伙伴。所以明天会有这么一题，大家要去讨论。那另外还有好几题，从上午到现在，包括说我都有点忘记了，我去看一下笔记，刚才要我们写在卡片上的，都请大家能够在今天能够真正去想，因为明天我们会分组讨论，会有可能是我记得昨天他讲的是说先是有我们4个分区，每一个区今天我们的这个计划主持人都在场，所以呢，每一区大概会有个10分钟吧，哈，跟张老师，我们明天早上第一场是大概10分钟，大家要简单的介绍你的中心的那个，就比较像你们曾经做过的简报，来，你中心大概要做些什么啊？这是早上只是 warm up。然后接下来我们大家就要开始分组讨论，好像可以是分主题讨论，也有分区域讨论，最后都是我们在今天的时间里面，都为我们4个区域中心已经对我们这个几个主题啊，什么增能计划啊，这个伙伴关系这几个主题呢，都会找出策略，而且都是2-3组策略，然后我们大家就会在分组报告的面下，所以跟大家预告一下，明天会有这个功课，所以刚才呢提到说要把它写下来的，是的确还是要明天会去继续讨论。那这个等一下我们下面还会有另外几场会再继续谈。好了，非常感谢大家在这段时间的参与。等一下先 tea break， 然后回来下面还有更精彩的的分享。OK， thank you， now we have tea break。谢谢大家。